Guys, Kat here, and I am doing a get ready with me using Model's Own products. This is a look that I've created. Trust me, in a couple of minutes or in a minute's time, you will see me wearing no makeup and be shocked and appalled. But we will get to this point, so it's all right. Don't you worry, it's all right. So let's get on to it. Oh, hey guys, I am naked faced today, and I thought I'm going to try some products out. Now, I was sent this parcel. I wasn't expecting it, so that was a nice surprise. But all of this is Model's Own makeup. So Model's Own is a brand, I think it's from the UK, and it's been out for a while, yeah. Designed and developed in the UK, made in Taiwan. But it's a brand that I've heard of many times. I watch a lot of UK beauty YouTubers and used to read a lot of blogs, so I was quite familiar with the brand, but it's recently come to Priceline in Australia, so I was sent this, and I thought instead of actually trying out every single individual thing and giving you a review, what I might do is do a get ready with me trying these out and sort of letting you know what I think as I use them and showing you the products, and then what I might do if there's like products that I really like or products that I really don't like. I'll mention them in my favorites and fails if they're particularly outstanding. I do know that this is not like a first impressions get ready with me is not a review. Let's put it out there. It's a first impressions. A lot of people hate them. A lot of people like them. I like doing, well, I've started getting into these, but I particularly like doing reviews once I've used the products a lot. But right now I'm sort of like swamped with makeup that if I was to try all these products and give them a few good attempts and then give my review on all of them, you won't see a review until like next year. So I thought I would just delve into these and try them out and see how we go with them. I have not even opened these out of the boxes, so I don't know what's in it. I don't know what the colors are. We're just gonna make things work. So that's what I'm doing today. I do want to say though that I have used their nail polishes. So these, I got these and I've tried them out. I should have been wearing them today. I wore them last week thinking that I would be filming this last week, but I didn't have time. So these are the chrome nail polishes from Model's Own. This is the chrome gold and this is the chrome rose. Now, I don't hate these. I don't mind the effect that it gives, but you do need to shake them a lot and they are a little bit streaky. So I'd probably say the best way to use these is almost to not flood your nail, but put a lot of product on it and let it kind of like self-level. And it definitely needs a couple of coats. So if you want like these kind of chromey nail polishes, these do look like metallic nail polishes. They don't look like chrome though. So I don't mind those. I don't love them, I don't hate them. All right, so I've just emptied out the contents and I have noticed that the only thing that's pretty much missing is a foundation. So I will add that in to the rest of this. But what I also noticed was that there's different packaging for different products, which I really like. So this kind of teal white ombre packaging tends to be the base product. So we have here the Face Base Primer. So this is the Face Primer, smooths, corrects and primes. So I'll be using that. We do have a Sculpt and Glow highlighter here. And we've got a Sculpt and Glow Shimmer Bronzing Powder. This is in the shade of 4, so deep golden brown, which sounds a bit dark. This is Golden Sand 01, so I'll open those up in a second. And then we have a Flawless Color Correcting Concealer Palette. So all the base products tend to be in this sort of packaging. Then this sort of pink and blue packaging tend to be eye products. So this is the Brow Kit. So it's the Now Brow Eyebrow Kit. And this is in the shade Chestnut. This is 08, so I'm sure they've got at least 8 different varieties. They've got the Color Chrome eyeshadow kit, which I'm very interested in this. It says that it's a heavy metal finish that rocks. This shade is Copper Luster, which looks interesting. And it's got an eyeshadow and a primer. I'm actually going to open this because I'm a bit curious. So that's what it looks like. So that's what you've got here. It's like a copper eyeshadow, and I think you mix it with sort of like a mixing medium to turn it into like a foiled eyeshadow. I'm interested, I might try that one out. Then we've got a liquid liner here. So this is in black and it is the Eye Definer liquid liner. So, you know, I love myself a liquid liner. Yeah, so it's white packaging, but it is a black liner. So we can just, ooh, see it there. So that's pretty cool. I'll be using that. And we've also got an eyeshadow base, which I'll be trying as well. So I think another thing that I'm missing is a mascara, but I'll pull one out to use. Then the next sort of coloured packaging is this. So the yellow and pink are the lip products. So we've got 2 Luxe lipsticks. I've got one in Velvet Whisper and one in Velvet Hello Hawaii. So I'll swatch those when I come around to them. We've got 2 Line and Define lip liners. So we've got Naked and French Rose. And then we have the matte liquid lipstick. This is called Lix. And this is in Coral Fresh. Then the last 2 things are packaged differently, and we've got a Sculpt and Glow contour palette and also an eyeshadow palette. So this is the Super Natural palette, so I'll be using these. Whoa, I'm just trying to wipe that off as well, and it is pretty, it's almost, it kind of goes into a plastic sort of coating. All right, so let's get started, and the only things I need to add are foundation and mascara. So I have some of those down here, but I'm going to start with the primer. All right, so we're just getting some out. All right, let's just put some on. So it's just a basic clear silicone primer. Just feels like a silicone primer. So these kind of minimize pores. Before I put my foundation on, I'm going to try this concealer palette. I'm feeling like I look a little bit haggard today, possibly just because it's Monday and no one likes Monday. And I'm continuing to ruin my nails opening all this packaging. So that is fantastic. All right, so this is a little palette. It's kind of nice and compact. It's just basic packaging. It doesn't have a I think it's got a really, feels like it's a weighted packaging. So it's not magnetic. It's just that kind of closes because it's weighted. Maybe it is magnetic really, really slightly. It's got a nice little mirror. And then it's got the 4 shades. So there's no explanation on the packaging of what these are for. So it's kind of assuming that you already know. So we know that green counteracts redness. So if you've got like redness around your nose, which I do have, maybe we'll try some. It's not too bad actually. But if you've got redness around your nose, I don't color correct often. I'm pretty lazy. So it's a good thing to do if you do have like discoloration problems. But you can see like that just takes out the redness, and it looks crazy at the moment, but you then put your foundation over it and it just creates a more neutral base. So I've got a breakout here, I've got red cheeks. So yeah, if you wanted to go crazy with color correcting, you definitely can. Now my nose looks red. Oh, the more I do it, the more I want to do it, which is why I don't tend to do it. I swear, high coverage foundation, but you know, it's definitely a decent option. I don't know if you can see around my eyes, I've got a lot of yellow at the moment, which is a bit funny, and purple counteracts yellow. So let's do it. So to get rid of some of that yellow kind of, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a bit funny looking, but this definitely knocks it out. So you can see that that yellow kind of color is completely gone. So if you have like dull yellow sort of skin, you can use color correcting just to brighten the areas. Okay, so that has gotten rid of those kind of yellow areas under my eyes, and it brightens, and now I feel like I need to do it around here as well. See, that's my problem. I just feel like everything looks bad, so I go too much. But the next thing I want to show is that in here I've got these sort of like dark patches that almost look purpley. So since we've just put purple on to get rid of the yellow look, we need to put a yellowy color on to get rid of the purple. Yeah, it's a thing. So I'm going to go in with that kind of orangey color here, that peachy color, just right in there. Alright, so that's pretty much color correcting, and you could also use the pink, which helps brighten as well. Sort of works in a similar way, almost to the purple. But I'm looking a little bit strange, so I'll go in with my foundation. I do want to say that this, it's like it does add color, so you can see definitely neutralized areas. It is quite thin formula, and it almost looks like it's a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say, if you can see here where I'm now just moving it, it kind of gathers a little bit. So this definitely does neutralize, so there's enough color in it It's still very like, sort of, you can see the color when you swatch it, but it's a very, very sort of thin coverage. It does its job, and it's a sort of like a really slippery formula. So this doesn't feel like it's going to be there and budge proof, but at the same time, it's not really the point of it. I can't really give you my opinion on this because I don't really use color correctors, so I don't know if this is a great one or not, but it definitely, you can see the color and it definitely corrects. I'm curious to see how foundation goes over this, so I'm going to do that now. And what I'm going to use is my Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation. This is a type of foundation that I think is best for people with oilier skin or that don't have dry patches, because it really does cling to dry patches. I do have sort of like a drying out breakout here, so I reckon that's going to be, it's going to look bad around there. But this is super high coverage. It's probably one of the most high coverage foundations I've ever used. So often if I do have redness or I do have like issues, I tend to go in just with a really high coverage foundation rather than having to color correct. But if you do want to color correct, there are definitely options in this range. So you take the cap off and you twist that off, and it's just like a stick. Ooh, I dropped some on my mirror. So if you don't want to put that directly on your face because you don't want to, you don't have to, you can just sort of dot it, and you really only need the smallest amount. So even though this doesn't look like I've applied heaps of foundation, this is probably too much foundation because this is crazy coverage. The coverage on this is insane, to the point that I tend to put a lot less than I just have, and I just kind of buff it in and make it a nice thin layer, which provides a lot of coverage but doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't look super cakey, but yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. I don't know, this foundation is crazy. But you can see that it does sort of almost, I'm not sure if you can see, but it sort of goes a bit drier. And if you do have any dry patches or anything like that, you probably wouldn't get along with this foundation because it sort of settles into the skin like it's, yeah, I don't know, it's funny. So yeah, all of a sudden that knocked out all the color in my face. So if you don't want to color correct and just want a heavy coverage foundation, you can kind of color correct using that. I don't know if you can see, but it sort of does cling to areas a lot and sort of looks a little bit dry. So if you do have drier skin, this foundation won't be for you. If you're not sure if it will work for you, I would say get a sample, but if you like a really small amount of foundation to get like a really nice amount of coverage or heavy amount of coverage, this one's for you as well. I'm just putting a little bit on this sponge because there's no other concealer here. So normally I don't color correct and I just go in with a foundation and a little bit of concealer. But since I don't have concealer here, I'll just use a bit of the foundation. I'm confident that this will work fine because it is probably has more coverage than a lot of concealers that I own. So it's crazy. Yeah, that is, look at that. Foundation to do that is nuts. I forgot to mention as well that my shade is 12 Ivory. Possibly a little bit too light for me. I also forgot that we don't have a powder in here. And even though this foundation is more of a matte finish, it's not the most setting and long wearing foundation, so I do feel like I need to set it with a powder, and I'm just using my Maybelline Superstay Better Skin, and this one's a little bit dark for me, but it kind of counteracts this light foundation, so we're going with it. And that's what it looks like. Oh, this is a little bit wet. Alright, so I'm looking very high coverage. I'm also looking a little bit cakey. I feel fine and it doesn't feel like I've got much foundation on because I have to put the smallest amount of that foundation, but it's looking a little bit powdery. What I'll do later is I'll just use like a MAC Fix Plus to just take down the powderiness, but I'll do that after I use all these products. All right, I'm gonna go into brows now because I look like I've got no features, so I may as well put some brows in. I'm going in with this, so this is the Now Brow Eyebrow Kit in the shade Chestnut, like I said before. Same packaging as our little concealer quad, kind of cute. It says on the back that there's 3 shades going on, so let's have a look what's inside. Oh yeah. All right, this is actually pretty cool. There's 2 brushes, but they're both little angle brushes. So they're both very usable. You've got a highlighting powder here. You've got a kind of warm brown wax and then a darker powder. So that's what you've got. So I'm gonna try. No, actually one is an angle brush and one is like just a flat brush, but they both look pretty good. I'm actually gonna use a little angle brush. I'm going to dip it into that wax, that coloured wax. It is very warm, I'm going to say. Like, I'm assuming Chestnut though is on the warmer side. I'm a little bit apprehensive. I'll probably go for more of a taupe kind of colour. I'm not too sure what, oh yeah, this is a little bit orange, but hopefully it's just the wax. The wax does have a little bit of colour to it, but not too much. But that is a warm brow. All right, let's, on the same brush, try some of the powder. The powder's a lot better. That color's not too bad. All right, so what do I think of this brow kit? On first impressions, the colors aren't for me. I had to go quite bold with the brows to hide this warm warm color because it is very sort of orange on my skin. You can see it there. The actual brow powder isn't too bad. It applied quite nicely. Once again, slightly warm, so it's not really going with my coloring. Maybe the end of my hair. If you had like hair that color, it'd look great. So I think just the chestnut color isn't for me. This little powder here, I think it'd be fine to use to highlight your brows, but you definitely need a different brush than what's in here. So I don't hate it. I just think the colors aren't for me. All right, time for eyeshadow. So I'm starting with the primer. This is the Eye Base Eyeshadow Primer and it's in the shade Matte 01. So I'm assuming there are other versions of this with different finishes, maybe. All right, so it's in a nice little tube, very just, you know, simple, clean. It's got a nice little doe foot applicator. This is the color, so it's a little bit, yeah, it's like a nice nude color. It's got a little bit of pigment behind it, so I'm sure it would sort of blank out some of the eyelid, but not heaps of it. Let's see what it's like to apply. It's a nice color for me, works for me. It's quite wet as well, so it's easy to move around. It's not super sticky or super tacky, but we'll see how it kind of settles down. Most of the color does go, so it's a sheer wash of color, so sort of does, like I said, correct the lid, but it doesn't blank out the lid. Okay, we're going in with this guy, the Supernatural palette. The colors actually look cool from the back of the packet. It's got a big, oh, it's holographic, oh my god. So it's got a big version of those little palettes that I was showing you. So the eyebrow palette, the concealer palette, it's just like a bigger version. Wait, so that's the comparison there. But this has cool holographic writing, which, you know, I'm not opposed to. And it's got the shades on the back. It's quite a sturdy little, I think it's way better than sort of like cardboard packaging. It's a nice sturdy plastic, and this one does have a stronger magnetic closure. So if you're worried about taking it traveling, this one shouldn't be too bad. Open it up, it's got a slip, so we'll take the slip out. It's got a really good size mirror, so I can actually use that to do my makeup, and you can move it however you want. So if you're sitting it on a table and wanting to do your makeup, you can do that without it just like flopping down completely. But it's got a good, ooh, Celestial, what a nice color. All right, so these are the colors here. I think we've got Paranormal, Mystery, Celestial, Spiritual, Mythical, Mystic, Eternal, Phantom, Curse, and Phenomenon. So some nice shades there. This is a really nice kind of fall palette. I like the mauves. I like the kind of coppery green colors. It's a very nice palette for people with brown eyes, so I actually really appreciate that. You also get a double-sided brush, which is not too bad actually. It's a synthetic brush and it's not scratchy, which is quite nice. I'm going to use this fluffy end and Mystic, which looks like it would be okay to set my base a little bit. It's a little bit dark, but that's all right. These are quite firm brushes, so they're not like really good to blend. That's for me, that's a transition color. So I don't really like this brush. It's too firm. It'd be good for packing on product. I'm actually going to just grab a Morphe brush. This is the R37. Back in with that Mystic color just to sort of blend that out a bit. So yeah, just putting in like the crease color just helps set your primer, so if you put a color on, it doesn't stick and it's harder to blend. So I'm just going to do that sort of in the crease. What color am I going with? Some of these colors are really beautiful. So most shades in this are metallic. I'm just going to swatch a few of them. Ooh, that Celestial is quite nice. So we've got, this is from the top row, the shimmers. It's not too bad actually. So those are some of the shades there. Can we see them? Alright, so I've just swatched pretty much all the metallic shades there. Some of them, they just have like a sheen to them, so they're more, almost like a, I would say on the eye would look more satin. But then there are some that have a bit of like nice metallic sheen to it. That is Phenomenon, which is the one down the bottom. There's this beautiful kind of dark black and cherry color, so some nice colors there. I might start with this Paranormal color up here, that kind of wine color, and I'm going in with this sort of fluffy end. It is very firm, so once again, it's probably good for packing on product, not the best for blending out, but that's actually surprisingly nice. That's a gorgeous color. Oh, let's zoom in, shall we? You can see my warm brows. You can see whatever this is, this little red patch that I've got going on, but this is not a bad eyeshadow. For an affordable eyeshadow palette, this is quite a nice color. Picks up nice with the brush as well. Alright, so that's on the lid. I'm going to use some of this color here, Phenomenon, on that other end of the brush, on the lower lash line. Ooh, that's a pretty one. I do love some sparkle. And I should have used that as a brow product because that's more of the brow color I'll use, not this color. I'm going to use both these colors in the crease, so that's Mythical and that's Phantom, I believe. So just with that same Morphe brush that I used before, I'm just going to use that to blend out the look to make it a little bit smokier. So these don't blend the best. You can see that they look a little bit patchy, but I think the color's really nice. The pigmentation's quite nice. And for I think the price point, it's not too bad. Alright, so I didn't end up using Phantom in the crease because I thought Mythical kind of deepened it enough. I am going to go on the lower lash line a little bit with another color. What color is the question? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go this one here, this Celestial color. It's very pretty. So I'm just taking this one really slow because the pigmentation's actually quite intense. Just sort of connecting that to the outer corner of the top lid, but that's a really beautiful color. So that's all the eyeshadow I'm going to use from this palette. I do think this is a really nice, they've got really nice colors. If you've got brown eyes and you like this sort of smoky, dark, almost like a jewel look, this is a really nice palette to have. So I used this one all over the lid, that one on the lower lash line, that to blend it out, that on the lower lash line, and this to sort of set my base. And I do like the look. I am going to say that I think if I used a different primer just to kind of blank out my lid a little bit better, this would have maybe popped a little bit more, and also whatever this like mark that I've got you wouldn't be able to see it and look a little bit neater. I think that they have nice pigmentation and are easy to work with. They don't blend the best, but once again, I don't know if that's actually the eyeshadow or the primer I used. So before I do the liner and zoom out, I wanted to try this out. So this is what I showed before, the color Chrome. I don't know if it's going to go with this look, but I sort of want to try it just for fun. That's a little tray, that's a little mixing medium, and that's the shadow. So this is like a cream shadow. So this is like a cream metallic shadow. It's actually really pretty. And these are the instructions for the product. So it's a little bit vague, but you mix it together. It's supposed to be a long wearing, totally rocking look. So this is quite creamy, so you can just get a little bit out on a brush. All right, so I've just put a little bit on the tray with 2 drops of the liquid. Now it's mainly all in the brush, so I don't know what the best consistency is, but you know, we're gonna give it a go. I'm just gonna put that on oh, it's pretty. Oh, I don't hate it. If that liquid makes this last a long time, I'm going to use it all the time because that's a pretty color. This is the type of product that I would happily put on my inner corner just as like a pop of kind of shimmer. Maybe I'll do that when I'm filming or on a daily basis. Yeah, I don't really know what it does. I don't really know the desired consistency, but I don't hate putting a bit of sparkle and glam into a look, so I don't hate it. So yeah, this is an interesting little concept, and I'm curious to keep playing with it and seeing if on its own, does this work? Does it need the liquid? How much liquid? But on first impressions, I don't hate it. All right, time for the liquid liner in black. So it's got a sponge tip applicator and it's very, very liquidy. Oh, it's very black, very opaque. All right, so this little sponge tip applicator is very firm. It's not at all flexible. So you have to sort of get used to using that, and it doesn't really bend. But once you get used to that, you know, you can adjust to it. But the formula itself is very, very, very black and very kind of runny, and you don't need to use much product. So I'm quite impressed by how black that is. So I don't mind that liner. I think it's, what I like about it is it's very, very black, so I didn't need to build this up. It was just like really black from the beginning, so you can see like super, super, super black. Even the tail is really, really black there. It is a shiny finish, so if you like a matte liquid liner, this is probably not the best, and also the applicator is very, very firm. So it's a sponge tip applicator, but let's focus on the thing. Yeah, well, no, missed it. So you can see that it doesn't like budge or move. So it's kind of good because it might like stay, the point might stay pointed. But if you like something that kind of moves with your eye, almost like a brush, this doesn't do it. So the applicator is not my favorite, but I really like how black and pigmented the liner is. So I don't know how it's gonna last, but we will see. So I'm just going to use my L'Oreal Miss Baby Roll Mega Volume Mascara, which is one that I've been using recently. It looks like that, which is really bizarre. Alright, that mascara, I've been using it a little bit and I'm a little bit torn with it. It doesn't really lift the lashes at all, it just kind of clumps the volume. But if you like that kind of grungy look with a bit of like a messy, sort of what I've got going on today, like a messy kind of metallic look or a matte look with a bit of like a chunky lash, it's not too bad, but it's definitely not my favorite. I'm going to say I actually really like those eyeshadows. I think the color is really good for my coloring, so how I said that those kind of colors work well with brown eyes, I think they just work really well with my coloring. So yeah, I'm liking this look. Like it's not everything's perfect, but I'm really thinking, I think it really complements my colouring. Alright, I'm going to open these guys. So we've got the Sculpting Glow Contour Palette and also a highlighter and bronzer. I want to see if any of these are double ups in here and what the difference is. Alright, so same sort of packaging. We've got the singles in these little squares. And like I said before, we've got Golden Sand, Sculpt and Glow Highlighting Powder. Ooh, this actually looks really pretty. Holy shit balls. So that's pretty highlighter. I like the kind of pan, like it looks like it's a drop of water that's kind of just made ripples. Ooh, and it's a nice sort of like champagne pink, very, very metallic color. So that's just a pretty one. And the bronzer is in deep golden brown in 04. Ooh, it's very interesting as well. So take off this. It's got the little mirror. It's got that sort of rippled effect as well. But it's very, very warm and it's a bit of a shimmer. So this is more of like an overall glow rather than like a contour product. So you can see it's got that gold. It's also got a vein of peach sort of running through it. I'm not sure if you can see that it's got sort of other colors in it. Then we've got the palette with the holographic writing on it, which is cool. And this is the medium to tan. So this is number 3. So clearly there are at least 3 shades in the range, and you can see that it's got a sculpt, light up and afterglow. So contour, highlight and blush. It's got a big mirror. It's got a little sheet that I'll take off. We've got a matte bronzer, which is way better for contouring. We've got more of a warm highlighter. So the other one was more pink. This is more of a sandy kind of color. What's it like compared to it? So it's very, very soft. So it's a very soft, almost buttery feel. So you can see it there. It's more yellow highlighter and that looks more metallic. So I think this range is more metallic, but that's a beautiful kind of soft, sandy kind of color. And then the blush is really pretty. This reminds me of the Sleek Rose Gold. So it's a pink with like a gold kind of shift to it, which I think is really pretty. Ooh, yeah. So that's it there. It's like a peachy pink and it's got a gold kind of shift to it, which is pretty. I'm actually really excited for this because it contains a lot of product. Overall, it's 14.9 grams, which is really good and very affordable as well. The contour for me looks like it works quite well. It's a little bit warm, but not too bad. And these kind of shades look like they're colors that I'd like to use as well. I'm going to go really fancy and I'm going to use a Haku Hodo brush with my Model's Own makeup. I'm going to go in with Sculpt. I'm just going to try, it looks like there's a bit of pigment behind it, so let's try not to pick up too much at once. And let's just, oh no, it's not too bad. Oh geez, yeah, all right, I tapped off too much to begin with, but this actually blends quite nicely. I have set my foundation, so this is going on top of a powder, but I don't hate that. I think that kind of works. Oh Jesus, you need to tap it off. Tap it off. But luckily you can sort of, if you put too much on, you can sort of blend it away. It is quite warm, but I don't know, I don't hate this for like the warmer months. Do you like my grey hairs? I'm calling them glitter these days. Just going to warm up my forehead a little bit. I actually don't hate this. Alright, so that I'm actually sort of impressed with. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it's warmed up my face really nicely, and what I liked about it was that at times I did put too much on, but it was really easy to blend it out. Like, that doesn't look like it's crazy. I put some on and I was like, holy shit, and I could just blend it out and it worked. So I quite like this. I think this powder is easy to use. I think for my colouring it's a nice colour. A lot of people tend to go for really, really cool toned contours, and I get that, but the way that I tend to contour, I almost use it as a contour and a bronzer just to kind of warm up my face. So this is a little bit warm for some people. It's not super, super orange. It still works as a contour. But for me, I like it as like a matte contour and bronzer in one. So these are sort of like my favorite sort of contour powders at the moment, where, you know, you can add the definition, but then you can buff it around your face a little bit and just warm up your skin tone, which I like to do. Adds, you know, I don't look like I'm just one color anymore. All right, I'm going to use this blush and I'm quite excited about it. I know that these sort of colors work quite well for me, and I'm just using a Real Techniques cheek brush, tapping some off because it looks quite pigmented. These are the sort of, oh, so pretty. These are the sort of blushes that I like to use as a highlighter and blush in one. So if I'm just going to work, look at that. Look at that. Can you see the gold sheen? You kind of go, why do I even bother highlighting when I have this gorgeous color? So these I love. A lot of people don't like shimmery blushes. I like them. I think they once again add some nice dimension to the face. They add a bit of glow, and that highlight is not a highlighter, it's a blush. But do I need a highlighter? Hell no, because that looks gorgeous. So I will use a highlighter because I'm testing out products. But I really like that. And yeah, I love those types of, there's a Pixie one that I really like. There's the sleek one I really like. I can't get enough of these blushes because you get the kind of flush of the pink, which looks nice and healthy. And then you get that gorgeous, I don't know if you can see on that one, you get that gorgeous gold highlight that, it also goes down your cheek. So it just makes you look glowy instead of looking oily. Like if I get anything shimmery sort of down in this area, except for like nose or Cupid's bow, I look really, really greasy. But if it's here, it looks like healthy and glowy. So I really like that blush. But I kind of want to put this palette away, even though this is probably it's a smarter highlighter to use, because since this has a gold sheen, you want to sort of work with it, and that gold is better. Fuck it, I'm going to use this. I really wanted to use this pink one because that individual one's gorgeous, but I think it would kind of be weird having this gold glow and then a pink kind of thing. So I'm going to go with Light Up, just on a Real Techniques setting brush. This just to add, once again, you don't need it, but just to add a little bit more highlight just to the tops. That's a lot. That's a lot. There's a lot going on there. It's kind of pretty. Oh, I'm getting rid of that gorgeous like gold glow though, just to add a little bit of champagne, which makes me sad. But oh, it's pretty. It is pretty. Top of my flaky nose from my foundation, and a little bit Cupid's bow. All right. So I can say probably so far, my favorite thing is this palette that I've used. I like it. What can I say? I like everything in it. It works really well. I particularly like the Afterglow blush. I also particularly like the Sculpt powder. I just like makeup that if you mess up, you can easily fix it. And this is one. I also love blushes that are multi-purpose. They give you a glow, that make you look really healthy, and you don't feel like you then need to go in to layer a highlighter. Like I did, but I didn't need to. And if anything, I probably like the look without the highlighter more than with the highlighter. But this is actually a really good kit. And I think the medium to tan, I don't know what they're talking about because it works for me. And I'm probably light. I'm a light skin person, but I really like it. I am, however, very keen to try this because that looks gorgeous. Oh, it's just, what do I do? I want to put some on. I'm so torn. No, I can't put some on. It's beautiful though. Maybe I'll put a little bit on. Let's just tap a little bit off and just go a little bit. Just a little bit. It is, oh. You could use this as an eyeshadow. It's so pigmented. Oh my God. Now I've got too much highlighter on. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's, yeah, this one's way more intense. Blend some of that out. Okay. So if you want an affordable, intense highlighter, this range, I don't hate it. So this one's called Golden Sand. It's not super golden. It's more like a champagne pink, but it's mega intense. All right, on to lip products. I'll open them all up. All right, so we've got two lipsticks. The packaging is very, very shiny. It's got Model's Own written on it in white. It's quite lightweight. This one is called Hello Hawaii. It's a beautiful bright coral. These shades actually, even though I hold it up and I'm like, oh, I could get away with it, I don't wear them. They don't really suit me. This is, oh, it's got a magnetic closure. I was like, that's a bit loose, but it's held down with a magnet, which is nice. And then there's the shade Whisper in 14. Once again, this is a nice kind of peachy nude. They don't really suit me. They kind of clash with my skin tone. So I don't know if I will use them. And this is a coral. So we've all got just corals and peaches to go with. And this is a liquid lipstick. Once again, pretty basic packaging. And this is in the shade Coral Fresh. So once again, a very vibrant coral color. I want to like these colors. Oh, that's a nice neon color though. They don't tend to complement my skin tone, which is a little bit annoying. But then we've got two lip liners. We've got a nice nude brown, which is in Naked. And then we've got this sort of like rosy brown in French Rose. I'm gonna swatch those. All right, so that's Naked, that's French Rose. They're both quite firm. They're not super, super creamy, but we'll see how they go. I need to figure out what I'm gonna wear. What am I gonna wear? All right, so I've just swatched the lipsticks and they don't really go with the lip liners, but it is what it is. That's the coral one, so that is Hello Hawaii, and then Whisper is that pink one. I'm actually gonna go Hello Hawaii. It is a lot more, oh, it's a nice color. It's like a vibrant watermelon. And I always buy these sort of colors, and I've stopped doing it recently because I've noticed that I just don't really wear them. I want to wear them. I want to love them. I don't think they suit me as much as I would like them to, but I'll try it anyway. These sort of have more of a, I don't know, like a hydrating sort of formula. They don't look super shiny, but they definitely have a moisturizing sort of quality to them. So they're not matte and they're not really dry. All right, I'm gonna try this with the lip pencil. They don't really go, but we can make it work. All right, so this is the French, oh, stop talking when you're doing that. This is French Rose, and it's actually, feels a lot creamier on the lips than when I was swatching it, possibly because I was swatching it with a tip. It's actually not too bad. All right, so I just covered my lips with that lip liner and it was surprisingly quite easy to do. It's not super creamy to the point where it's potentially quite smudgy. I'm thinking of like ColourPop, where they are very pigmented, but they're a little bit smudgy because they're very soft. This is probably like a good consistency. You can get a precise line because it is firm enough, but it's not hard and scratchy. So I quite like these. It's got a mechanical thing as well, so you can twist them up and down. And this color is a really nice sort of universal, if you like those kind of peachy pink kind of nude colors and you just want to sort of like maybe overdraw your lip a little bit. It's a nice one. I would have liked to have a lipstick to go with it, but I'm going to go with Hello Hawaii, which, like I said, little bit not my color, but I love the color and I want it to be my color. So I just like this as it is. I think it goes well with my eyes and with my t-shirt, but let's go with this one. See, that's, yeah, ooh, it's not too bad. All right, so that's the color. I don't hate it. I think it's a very pretty color. It's not super opaque, but at the same time, it covers the lips really evenly. So I don't know if you can see here, but if you look really closely, you can see like skin kind of discoloration or freckles underneath it, but you can see that it like applies super evenly. There's no patchiness. And it also has this kind of interesting finish where it's not shiny, but it's like just a typical cream lipstick. It's not metallic, it's not super shiny, but it's definitely not matte and drying. So it feels quite hydrating, and it feels quite thin, but it's quite, yeah, it's quite pretty. And that matte one has actually dried down like super matte. So if you wanted to know if that was matte and budge proof, yeah, it is. All right, so overall, I actually really like this look that I created. I think the colors are nice. I think they suit me. I think they were easy to use. I think the things, It's funny, I've never used this range before, and already I've got some products that I know I can easily slip into my makeup routine and be very happy with them. The ones that I was mainly impressed with, I really like this single highlighter. I think if you like an intense highlighter, this one is gorgeous. Like, the pan is gorgeous, you get a lot of product. This is 5.5 grams. It's just a gorgeous sort of universal highlight shade, very, very intense. Probably too intense for some people, but bang on trend, like really, really good. Nice little like closure. I think it's got a very small magnet in there, so it's not super super secure, but at the same time, I quite like the packaging overall as well. It's nice plastic, it's quite sturdy. It's very minimal, nothing like super fancy, but it's very practical. They all have mirrors and they all have like the kind of hinge that you can move and have however you want. So it's the mirrors are very usable as well. But I think the thing that impressed me the most was probably the Sculpt and Glow kit. I just was really impressed by the contour and how the contour was so easy to blend, and if you make any mistakes you can kind of easily fix it. I think the color in this medium to tan palette actually works really well on me with a light hand. I think it's really nice. It's nice and matte. It's just a nice color. It's quite a neutral color. It's not too orange. It's not too gray. I think it just works really well. Look at that fucking highlighter. Oh my God. I think this blush is beautiful. It's beautiful. If you like that kind of orgasm sort of concept, like a peachy pink with a beautiful gold shift that you can use as an all-in-one blush and highlighter, which is what I prefer to do. This is gorgeous. It's so good, and each of these contain just shy of 5 grams of product, so you're getting a lot of product in here. This would be something I'd definitely bring traveling. I would not blink an eyelid bringing it traveling. And then the highlighter itself, it's a little bit sort of you can see it sort of chunks up a little bit when you kind of do that with your finger, because it's a little bit oily, which is not a bad thing. It's just you got to be aware of it, and it could potentially, it seems like it's softly pressed, so I can't imagine it getting hard pan, but it is just a slightly more oily formula, but it's a nice pretty kind of sandy intense highlighter. So all of this, I really like it. I like the packaging, I like the holographic, I like the awesome mirror. If I had like an extensive makeup bag, if I was going overnight, or I had a makeup bag that had like one of every product, this would easily be a face palette that I'd put in there. And this is probably the palette or the product that I can see most me reaching for in my everyday range, which is, it says a lot because I don't like using crap products essentially. So I really like this. I also really like the Supernatural eyeshadow palette. Once again, this has 10 shades and it's 7 grams in total. So these are not quite, they're probably like half the size of a normal size eyeshadow, but still quite nice. I dropped the brush, ignore that. The brush was average, usable but average. I really like these because you get some good mattes that you really need to complete a look. So you have sort of transition, sort of to set your eye a little bit. It's a little bit dark for my skin tone, and then a nice one to sort of smoke it out or deepen a look. But all the colors really work for my skin tone. My favorite types of bronzers to use are these ones that have like a slight olive kind of old gold color to them, because they work with my brown eyes. All these colors are gorgeous. I really like them, and I can definitely reach for this. Once again, I think the quality is not the best. I think it didn't blend the best, but it might have been the primer that it didn't blend well over. So I'm going to try this more. I'm going to see how this goes on other primers that I use that I really like. And I think this, if you like a kind of grungy, smoky, this kind of look, that I really like because it goes with brown eyes and brown hair. Alright, before my camera battery completely dies, the things that I'm a little bit on the fence about, I don't really love a silicone primer. I don't know, sometimes they make my foundation sit a bit funny, which I think it was almost doing that today. I'm not too sure about the eyeshadow primer. It does apply quite nicely, but I wasn't sure if the eyeshadows performed very well because of it or if it was the eyeshadow, so I'm going to have to play with them individually. And then the two things that I didn't love, the color correcting palette, it definitely does color correct, and you can definitely put it under your foundation to neutralize any problem areas, but I don't tend to use color correctors, and I found, I don't know, it's not really my cup of tea. Also, I found that when I kind of moved it, it started looking a little bit patchy and a little bit almost, I don't know, didn't really stay put. So I don't know. I'm probably not going to try this much more because I don't really like color correctors. But yeah, if you want an affordable color corrector, they do work. Then the brow product, once again, I don't hate it. I quite like the format. I like that you can, I should have set my primer with that color actually. That would have worked a bit better. But these are very warm for me, and the tools, they're okay for the brow products, but not for this guy. But I think this chestnut color is designed to be a lot more red and warm than I normally like. So my brows today, a little bit too warm for me, but the powder was quite nice and worked quite well. All right, so it is about 4 hours after I filmed, and I am surprised at the lipstick. This has not been retouched. I have eaten pasta, I've had a coffee, I've had a drink, I've had chocolate, and it is still on. I'm surprised. It's like it left it didn't really leave a stain because you can rub it off. It's just, it doesn't look like it's a long wearing lipstick, but as soon as I finished, I ate pasta and it's still on. When it comes to the eyes, I'm sure you can see that it's starting to crease. Look at that there. So I'm going to have to, I don't know if it is just the eyeshadow, I don't know if it's the primer, or I don't know if it's that kind of chromed thing that I put on. So also my cardigan's on inside out. That's embarrassing. Let's take that one off. Yeah, so the eyeshadows aren't holding up the best. The intensity is fine. It's just that it's definitely creasing, but I have a feeling since a lower lash line is doing quite fine, I think it's either the primer or it's the stuff I put on top, that chrome stuff. So I'm gonna try this eyeshadow palette tomorrow with a different primer, see how it lasts. My brows are still looking pretty warm. Highlighters held up nicely, face products are holding up nicely. I have noticed that my foundation may be breaking down a lot faster than it normally is, so I don't think this foundation anyway likes the primer, that either doesn't like the primer or doesn't like the color correctors. So that's the update. But I think for like a good 4 hours ish, I'm really surprised at the lipstick and the rest of the makeup. Oh, I was gonna say as well, I can tell if you stretch this out, I don't know if you can see, it sort of like starts to break apart, the liner. So it's definitely more of one of those, it kind of creates like a plastic kind of coating. And I think if you have like really watery eyes or you're out in the rain, it wouldn't surprise me if the liner started to come off a little bit. All right, so I just wanted to check in really quickly. I'm wearing the eyeshadow palette and the face palette again today. This is the day after my get ready with me, and I am much preferring it over a different primer. So I find that the eyeshadow looks great. I still love the coloring. It's wearing a lot better today than it was yesterday. I'm not wearing that kind of foiled thing, so that could be a difference as well. But essentially, I think over a different primer that I know that works really well for me, I set it with like a kind of cream and it blended a lot better. So I'm happy with the eyeshadows. I think they look really pretty. But once again, I don't know if it was a primer or the chrome thing that made it crease as much as it did. But it definitely applies better over a different primer than the model's own primer. The face palette is still working great. I've got the blush, I've got the bronzer, like the contour, and that kind of sand highlighter. I think it's really pretty. So I'm digging those products. I think they're really good. And that's just a close-up of, I used kind of similar eyeshadows as I did yesterday. I really wanted to try the same color all over the lid, but I put like more of olive kind of green on the lower lash line rather than that dark green. But you know, I think it looks like a good quality eyeshadow. Alright guys, so if you like this, give it a thumbs up, and let me know if you've tried any of these products or any model's own products and what you would recommend me trying next, because I'm on board. I'm on board. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.